Hi everyone, I'm Josh and welcome to Josh Wright Piano TV. Today marks part 3 of this series of pacing your repertoire selections. To recap the first 2 parts, in the part 1 that I posted several years ago, I go over pacing new repertoire selections. So choosing a momentum piece, something that you can learn and get fairly fluid within 3 to 6 weeks, around a month, give or take. And then choose a piece that takes you 1 to 3 months to get into shape. And then finally, you can choose a longer term piece, 3 to 6 months, or if it's multi-movement or a very long movement, for instance, it's okay to go up to a year, but try not to take on pieces that take you longer than a year to get fluid. That's probably a sign that it's too difficult. In part 2, we went over pacing existing repertoire selections, and this was a little bit more vague. I was talking about how to think about creating a nice concert program with brand new repertoire that you've polished up from any of those 3 buckets that I just said, the momentum piece, the 1 to 3 month time period, the 3 to 6 months. We have brand new repertoire that we haven't performed yet. We have recently performed repertoire, that's stuff that's ready to go, that you've just came off your first or second or third concert, or perhaps you have old repertoire that you've performed way in the distant past. So it can be 6 to 12 months ago or perhaps 3 decades ago. Those pieces always tend to come back a little easier than you might think. I've always been surprised when I've brought back old repertoire, how quickly that comes back. There's been exceptions where it hasn't, but almost always it comes back quickly. So in part 2, we talked about that. In part 3, I wanted to open up with what I'm doing this year for the channel and how I am pacing myself for that. So give a real world example. This is a pretty ambitious year, to be honest, but probably around an hour, maybe a little bit more of repertoire. Okay, so starting with 3 videos that I've already done. And this is for the channel. These are not things that I'm necessarily compiling and compounding upon. So I'm not still working on the things that I have already made tutorials on. But we did an intermediate piece. So we did the Fantasy Dance by Robert Schumann. That was posted late 2023, so like right around the turn of the year. So I did that. I set this schedule out at the end of last year after taking a big poll of my audience of pieces they wanted to see me do tutorials on, and also some personal things that I wanted to work on. So we already did that. We did Tchaikovsky's June, and then we did Chopin Waltz Opus 34 No. 1 in A flat. So we've already done tutorials on that over the last month and a half or so. Okay, new pieces. Next week I'll be filming a tutorial on Traumerei, the Kinderscenen No. 7 by Robert Schumann. That's been a highly requested piece. I'm going to be doing Mendelssohn Serious Variations, Beethoven Waldstein Sonata, Ravel Sonatine, Bach Prelude and Fugue in D minor, and then the 3 Chopin Mazurkas, Opus 59, and possibly Schubert Opus 90 No. 4, possibly Rachmaninoff Musical Moment No. 4, not sure about that, and then possibly 3 Scarlatti sonatas. That's going to change, and I may actually throw in the Rameau Gavotte and 6 doubles. I recently heard that, and I loved it so much that I've actually been working on that recently just for fun, and it's so lovely. So how do I go about pacing myself for this 1 year of goals or 1 year of ambitions to make tutorials for this channel and obviously play these in concerts throughout the year? Well, I thought I'm going to be really ambitious and I'm going to try to film the first movement of Waldstein by the first week of February. And I took it to my teacher a week or 2 ago, so late January. And she said, you know, this is a piece that you'll just continuously grow with. Each time you pick it up, it will grow. And I said, yeah. She said, are you filming this next week or the week after? And I said, probably not. She gave me a lot of nice ideas. My wife listened to this and gave me some nice ideas. And I thought, let's do this some justice. Let's work on this for at least a couple more months before I film a tutorial on it. Give myself more time to process and think. Sometimes you don't even have to actively be practicing it every single day in order for your mind to process and for you to mature with the piece or to season the piece. Not seasoning like seasoning with salt, but allowing time to pass to live with the piece for a while. So that's my plan with that. I've, over the last week or two, learned the second and third movement, just slow to medium tempo on that third movement. It's coming along nicely. Again, that sonata is not all that difficult to learn. It's really difficult to play in tempo, perfectly aligned with really nice interpretation. So that's why I'm letting that one rest and see, not rest, but allowing that one to marinate. So I practice it still. I'm still practicing the first movement almost daily, but I'm letting things process in my mind. Again, this is just my process. People may disagree. You can leave whatever comments you want in the comments section below, but this is how I work, and I wanted to give a real-life example of what I've been teaching in the previous 2 repertoire selections videos. Okay, next. That's probably the most difficult thing that I have programmed on here, at least for me. Okay, I know the Ravel Sonatine will come more quickly than the Waldstein because I have a lot of experience with Ravel. I've heard my wife practice that through one of her degree recitals. I'm very familiar with the piece. It's in my ears. I've never played it. I've taught the first 2 movements a couple of times. I know that one will come more quickly. So I'm going to probably start working on that later this year, probably in July, and release the tutorials later on in the year, maybe fall or even winter. So the serious variations, I'm dabbling with that right now, just a little bit each day. That's kind of a warm-up piece along with the Rameau. And that's coming back quickly. I performed that a lot in my early 20s. I wish I would have made tutorials on it back then. That's one of my regrets, is not doing tutorials on every single thing I ever worked on, because now you got to bring them all back and they're not so fresh. But it will get fresh again. And I think I have a festival that I'm playing at in June. I'm going to program the Waldstein Sonata. I'm going to do the serious variations. And the rest of the program I haven't solidified yet. Perhaps I'll do Sonatine. I don't know. But it'll depend on how quickly these Beethoven things marinate. The Bach Prelude and Fugue, that one's pretty simple in the sense that I've taught it many times and I'm very familiar with the piece. But I like Bach to marinate for a little while. So I might do a tutorial on that in 1 or 2 months, probably 2 or 3 months, actually. So before all the Beethoven tutorials that I'm hoping to do early June before that concert, but not waiting beyond that. The Chopin Mazurkas, I'm probably going to get into gear here in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to film Traumerei next week, and then I'll start working on those Mazurkas. You're probably seeing a trend. Fantasy Dance. Chopin Waltz Opus 34 No. 1, a very old piece that I performed so many times. Tchaikovsky's June. Chopin Mazurkas. You're seeing all of the stuff that I'm either really comfortable with, or the lighter paced selections or the shorter selections front-loaded at the beginning of the year, and then you're seeing that my bigger projects are going to be coming more toward the end of the year. That's all on purpose. If I just tried to throw together Waldstein tutorials, they wouldn't be very good. I need more time to process those. The Mendelssohn Serious Variations, I know that I can bring back over time very easily, just getting that back into my mind, because that's an older selection that will come back quickly. So I don't have to kill myself. I could get that ready within a few days, I think. Maybe a week if I practiced 4 hours a day on it. But I don't want to do that. I want to be working on other pieces as well. So I'm letting that one be just like a chip away project. I'm letting the Beethoven be a project that I work on a lot right now, and then I let it marinate. I keep working on it, and I let it season, and new ideas will come to you. As Susan said, after I took that to her, she said, as you live with it longer, more ideas will come. So I don't want to rush and just present the ideas I have right now, but I don't want to wait so long. I could wait 2 or 3 years and justify that and say I wanted to really mature with this most famous of piece, this most famous piece from Beethoven. So of all of his sonatas, it's my favorite. Maybe Opus 109 gives it a run for its money, but I love that sonata so much. I didn't want to rush into those, but I also didn't want to drag on endlessly and say, I'll film that in a few years, because I noticed that when you put your feet to the fire and you say, I got to do this, your brain works in overdrive and you can get things accomplished. So this just gives you a little overview of how I'm going to work. And then those Scarlatti sonatas, those are old. I can sprinkle those in at any time when I feel like, okay, I can prepare those within a week or two, get something ready for a tutorial on those, and maybe up to a month on the toccata, the sonata in D minor. That one's a little more high maintenance because you want to make sure you've got a lot of clarity on those repeated notes. The A minor. That one's beautiful. I haven't ever played the Opus 90 number 4, but I've taught it so many times that it's basically in my hands. These are things that can come quickly. So as I look at my longer term projects and those building throughout the year, the Beethoven Waldstein, the Ravel Sonatine, and the Mendelssohn Serious Variations, I'll let those kind of marinate throughout the year and release tutorials when I feel like I'm ready, and I have this big arsenal of easier pieces for tutorials. Now, you might be thinking, hey, I'm not creating a YouTube channel with tutorials. How does this apply to me? All of these things can apply to recital or concert programs. So you can have smaller, shorter pieces that are existing repertoire, that are new repertoire, but that are fast-paced, that are momentum pieces that you marinate alongside the longer-term projects. So I wanted to make this video to show you kind of how I'm thinking about this coming year. It's early on in the year. It's just February right now. And just how my plans are shaping up to be. And by the way, not everything. Some things are going to change. I might not release a tutorial that I just told you that you're excited for, and I'm sorry, but I will be doing the Waldstein for sure. I will be doing the Mendelssohn, I think for sure. Maybe, I think so. It's pretty certain, and I'll for sure be doing the Ravel Sonatine. So the Mendelssohn's more of my thing. I've had a few people request it, but I just love that piece so much. I wanted to share some ideas that I had from Susan Duelmeyer and Sergei Babayan, and my own ideas that I've come up with over the years of playing that. So I thought just giving a practical example in this part 3 tutorial today might shed some light on how you could think about a longer term program rather than just, oh, I've got to prepare this piece for my lesson next week. Hope you've all enjoyed this video today. If you don't mind liking this video and subscribing to the channel, that helps out greatly. That helps to share this information with more people, which is the goal of making these videos. I'd also like to leave a few links in the description below. One of them is for a free webinar containing 10 tips that I use every day in my teaching and in my own practice. I love these tips. These are some of my favorites that I've picked up over the years from master teachers and also in my own personal discovery during practice. I will leave a few links for my paid courses if you'd like to go even deeper than this channel goes over. That also helps to support this channel and help me to have the resources to keep creating these videos and have the time to spend creating these videos. I really couldn't do this without your support. I truly appreciate it. Thank you all so much. And finally, I will leave a link to my gear kit. All the gear I use in the studio, the lighting, the mics, the video switcher, whatever it might be that I use in private teaching online, that I use to make these videos, and that I've used to make professional recordings if you'd like to check that out. Have a great week. Good luck in your practice sessions.